Okay, let's call this meeting to order, the January 29th, 2026, 6 PM Oconee County Rescue Squad Advisory Commission. First agenda is the election of the chair. For that, I need to open the floor for nominations for chair of the Rescue Commission.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Land for chair.
I'll second it.
Any other nominations? With no other nominations, we close the floor for that. All in favor of Commissioner Land as the chair? Aye?
Raise your hand or say aye.
Raise your hand or say aye, yeah. Unanimous? 6-0. Sir, this is yours.
Thank you. All right, next up, we need a nomination for vice chair. I make a motion for Steve Zahn.
I'll second that.
Any other nominations? Any discussion? All right, in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Mike, I believe you said we want to do a pledge tonight, is that correct?
We can.
Yeah, sure, let's do it. Y'all mind standing, facing the flag, we'll do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next up on the agenda is the approval of the 2026 meeting dates. I believe February 26th, we said, is the night of the OCF Christmas dinner,
Awards dinner.
awards dinner. Did Jennifer offer an alternative yet on what the calendar has?
I can get with her tomorrow and get the other dates. The previous week before that would be the fire, so we may find some time after that or before that. So we can work on that. I'll get with everybody, I'll get with her tomorrow and get some dates.
Okay.
What did you say the current date was?
26th February.
Oh, okay. I see.
That's the county's awards banquet at Walhalla High School for all the responders.
So do we want to tentatively approve this, or can we table it until next meeting? Does it have to be voted on tonight by the ordinance?
It does not have to be voted on. The biggest thing is
Just has
the
to be,
scheduling piece of it needs to be published.
right.
And to save money, we try to publish all at once. But since the very first one, we ended up with a conflict in the normal scheduling. Unfortunately, that was the day Walhalla High School that we had, to use the facility. If we could pick another day that's good for you, we could try to, if that works, then it could be done in its entirety right now. And we could finish it and
So-
publish it, not have to do two publishings.
Why don't we just do the third Thursday, just like 1 week earlier for the
The
19th?
fire service
And
meeting.
the fire service meets that night, Thursday night, 6 o'clock.
The third Tuesday?
On the third, they meet the
Third
third
Thursday.
I mean, the
Thursday.
third Thursday.
Yeah.
Could we
So,
just,
but we're not gonna have any conflicts for the other third Thursdays that are selected? Cause we have 4 third Thursdays.
Early voting, yeah.
I'll get with her tomorrow about it.
Okay.
I say we table it for now.
Yeah.
We'll put a new schedule out.
The fire chief's meeting is the fourth Monday.
Fire
That's the
chiefs
fire
fire
chief.
chiefs?
Commission.
Right, yeah.
Okay, that's,
Fire commission.
Fire commission is the third.
Meets in this room.
okay.
All right, so I'll make a motion to table it until we can get with Jennifer, and we'll make sure that when we do decide on dates, we'll get that out in ample time. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is approval of the minutes for November 13th, 2025. I believe Jennifer sent those out via email, and you should have a copy in front of you. Does anybody have any corrections or revisions? Do I hear a motion to approve them?
Motion approved.
Motion by Steve, second by
Second.
Dean. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Before we move on.
Sure.
Who's playing secretary now that Phyllis is gone? Don't look my direction.
You need to,
Back up to number 2.
Yeah.
It's not listed, but yes, you need to, elect a secretary.
secretary. Okay.
I nominate Amber.
Nope.
Christie, you up for it?
No. I nominate Scott.
I'm all for that.
If I wasn't already secretary for something else, I would take it, but nope. Can't.
Go ahead.
Come on, take it.
Sure.
You sure?
I'll give it a whirl. If I screw it up, I screw it
There's a recording
up. Okay,
and stuff too that will be able to, that they can get to you to help.
okay.
Or should
So-
be a recording, I should say, sometimes.
So Dean, are you making that?
I'll make the motion for Scott.
Okay, I'll second that.
Right.
Do we have an all in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you, Scott. Any other discussions before we move on to public comment? Hearing none, public comment, 4 minutes per person. Anybody in the audience wish to make a comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to commission member comments. It doesn't look like anybody submitted anything, so we can bring that stuff up during your reports. Number 7, committee reports. Item A, radio committee. Would any of y'all like to speak? Zach, I can recognize you.
Zach Smith, Emergency Services, one of the radio coordinators. We have sent out a interest form for a date sometime in February, mid to late February, for a meeting just to go over what has been done, what we done last year, and kind of our next steps of what we want to do to make sure that we're all on the same page and try to complete the task and stuff appropriately. Besides that, we have not programmed any radios here recently. There were some issues that we found during the storm that were rectified fairly easily with dispatch, and we've been maintaining close contact with them throughout this whole thing.
Okay.
Any questions?
The interest form, who was it sent out to?
It was sent out to the radio committee and representatives that were on the Fire and Rescue Commission, along with, I believe, Chief Smith and Chief Carroll for that.
Mr. Chair, you'll need to vote on your members for that committee tonight,
Correct.
or who wants to sit on that, Okay. with the rest of it too. Any other concerns for Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Is there a list that, being new to the committee or to the council here, is there a list of where the actual repeaters are?
Yes,
What radios, what systems they, is it possible to get that?
absolutely, absolutely. We can get that for you.
Just trying to educate myself a little bit.
Okay.
That's where-
Absolutely.
Something we brought up, I wanna say last commission meeting, or maybe the commission meeting before that. We had asked for, lists of committee members for each one of these committees. Do we have that yet? Just so we can be aware of who's on it and,
We can provide that for you for the radio committee.
okay.
You'll decide your membership tonight.
But you
Yeah,
want
like a
who's
total-
overall on it.
Yeah, overall,
yeah.
like who all's on it, it's just to be aware of like who's involved with those sort of things.
I can provide you the radio committee one.
Okay.
Any other questions for Zach? All right, thank you,
All
Zach.
right, thank you.
So we'll go into who wants to serve on that committee. I've been serving on that committee. Mr. Zahn has been serving on that committee as well. I'm happy to continue.
as I am.
Do we need one or two?
Generally, you want two, and those two people only serve on one more committee as well. But we'll need some motion or nominations.
We also took members on the committee just generally from any fire department or rescue squad in addition to here. And that's worked out very well because there are quite a number of people who are talented in those areas.
Do I hear any?
Motion for Brady and Steve Zahn to continue the radio committee
Okay.
for the commissioners.
Second.
Okay. Any other nominations? All right, vote. All in favor, aye? Aye. Okay, myself and Mr. Zahn. Any other discussion for the radio committee?
Question.
Sure.
The committee, how many people are on that actual committee, Zach? I mean, all the radio crew?
Let me get my numbers for you, and I'll let you know.
That's kinda like what Amber asked, is we got a list of all these committees,
You're at 10.
Yep, we're at 10 right now.
10? Okay.
And correct me if I'm wrong, we did send out a countywide radio op for anybody interested in the radios back in October, I believe.
Yes.
So it was sent out countywide as well.
Yeah, well, I'm not just asking for radio, cause when we
Right.
get to these other ones, it'd be nice to have a list of all the people on every
We'll
committee.
we will put together a list
A new list.
from the committees, because they may change.
Yep.
This one didn't with two of those members, but as the fire, commission appoints people also, that may change, so
Right.
we'll get that updated, with those appointments from them also.
Any other discussion for radio committee? Thank you, Zach. Item B, incentive committee. I believe they met.
No update other than no change from the meeting happened earlier last year.
Okay. Do I hear any nominations for someone to serve on incentive?
Question or discussion?
Yeah, go ahead.
on that? What was the outcome of that meeting last year, or that incentive committee last year?
It stayed the same criteria as the year before. And that, pretty much it was gonna stay the same as the year before. The only thing that was taken out was the 1 year we did incident command training. We required an hour of incident command training, and that was removed.
So that's removed moving forward.
If the committee chooses for next year to put it in, the committee that will be this year will meet usually later in the year, once the budget is set, that to say October, we try to make it by October to say what's happening the next year for the incentive committee. Because your time starts and, your last year, or this year's incentive goes to October.
Right.
And then it starts again, so that decision is made closer to that, pending, again, things that we may need to train everyone on, if there's a special class that needs to be done.
Right.
FEMA criteria, like when they came out with NIMS requirements, that everyone has it, any of those things we try to tie to the incentive to try to make sure we have an incentive to get the work done that's required by different organizations.
So just to be clear, from October of 2025, October 1, 2025 through September 30th, 2026, we're still requiring the 1 hour of
No,
ice?
we're not.
We're not.
That was removed.
Okay.
That was removed from the requirement.
Again, I have a question here or some discussion.
Good.
So I'm just gonna pick on myself here. I've been a volunteer in the system for roughly 9 years, approximately 9 years. Give or take what Dave will call, has stayed the same. Until the last 2 years, that number's dropped significantly. If I worked at the same job for 2 or 3 years, I would expect that I get some sort of increase or something. How come that hasn't happened?
So
What's the system?
the $200,000 that is put into there
Yeah.
is based on the number of calls in the county. Not the 200,000, there's 200,000. We deduct the flight insurance, which when the benefit went significantly up from a single helicopter system to a transport system. If you're transported through the helicopter system, that is paid for out of that. We used to pay $37, it's now $160 per person. Then we also pay the supplemental insurance out of it also, out of that 200,000. Then there's the banquet, for the awards banquet that comes out of that, for the incentive piece. And then that leaves roughly around $130,000 to split up between all of the calls. The call volume has gone up, which the call volume depends on how much that 130,000 divided by. That's why the volume went down. One of the other things is that we've had that many more responders actually getting their physical and being qualified for incentive. That number has been creeping up, that people actually get the incentive. More volunteers are getting that incentive and meeting that standard of that incentive over the years. So both of those factors, two numbers climbing without the 130,000 climbing, makes the number per call reduce.
So, has there been any discussion to increase that number, that 200,000?
Not when we're running a negative in that budget line to begin with. We were cutting other stuff and we didn't cut that.
So has staff had a pay increase in the last 9 years?
Yes,
And the volunteers have not seen any incentive increase?
you are correct.
Okay. So the incentive is really a disincentive at this point. I'm doing the same thing. I'm receiving $2 and change less for the same thing that I did years ago.
But also, if you actually look at it and you run 3 calls, you make more money per hour than our paid staff does.
I haven't looked at that, and
Well, but I mean, you have to look at it in that perspective. Some of our people make more money per hour running 3 calls in 1 hour than our staff does.
I would
As a
imagine
volunteer.
I would imagine that that's a small percentage of the time that happens. You know, a lot of times it's onesie-twosies, especially for stations that only run potentially a few hundred calls a year. The chances of that happening.
Oh, and I'm not saying what I'm saying is that tax base that is being paid out of that, that's out of the 2.9, is negative. In other words, we have been running on fund balance, and that is the one line item we haven't cut. It has stayed 200,000.
And I understand that
You know.
there's an urgent need for you to stay fiscally responsible with the budget.
No, I do not disagree with you that how does it go down? But with the call volume going up and the number of responders going up, which is good, that's good for the whole system, that's why that number has gone down.
So, I think that's a very good question. Has there ever been discussion of cutting the banquet so that you can put more money to incentives?
There has not been a discussion on cutting the banquet. Now, again, one of the other reasons why is we went from $37 for flight insurance to $160.
It's a significant increase.
That is a huge increase, and again, that comes off of the incentive money.
And are we validating that the people that are holding that are meeting the incentive requirements as well? Like, we're making sure that they're,
Yes, it's tied to, we have to submit and
Okay.
change that over every single year for the firefighter association's insurance policy. We have to literally go in and change all of that. It went up again this year for the number, the increase went up again. And last year, we spent more than $200,000 out of that account.
Okay, understand, thank you.
I'm just, we're trying to do the best we can, with the budget that was provided for us.
Understand, thank you.
is this more of a county council question that, needs to be, that something that needs to be reported out? Because we're supposed to report out this meeting quarterly to county council. Is that something that we should report out
It
to
would not hurt,
them?
it would not hurt during your brief to have that piece of discussion. That was one of the concerns.
I think that's noteworthy for,
I would agree with that. So can you make a motion on that? Or is that-
I think
I think that's
just,
that brief is gonna be to the Public Safety Commission.
I think just take good notes
that.
as, like like secretarial notes on it and just make sure that we capture that for our quarterly report out, which I don't know exactly when will happen, but I assume at the end of the quarter.
I would hope you would give your minutes to the Public Safety Committee.
Yeah,
So to stay on task here, we need 2 individuals to serve on that committee. Scott and Amber, you both raised very good concerns. Would y'all have any interest on serving that committee?
I'll answer yes. I'm fine with that.
Okay, Scott is good with it.
what are the requirements of that? I'm wearing a lot of hats at the moment.
One or two meetings a year at the most is what it's been in the past, with a few emails back and forth between the commissions.
Sure.
Sure.
That'd be
Okay, so I make a motion for Scott and Amber to serve on that, committee.
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Good. Thank you.
And I do understand, I don't appreciate you being fiscally responsible. It's not, you know.
I don't take it
I
personally.
understand that.
I don't take it personally. You are completely right in what you said.
Thank you.
Any more discussion on the incentive committee? Hearing none, we'll move on to item C, the SOG committee. Do I hear any interest or nominations for that committee?
Well, first of all, where are we at on the SOG? Where is that currently?
So
Waiting on the new commission to sit to get everything out. There was a lot of changes that needed to take place from the other one, just to update and because the commission changed. The way we train is changed, and some other things. So basically, it's there, just need to knock out the format.
And
to get it signed off.
who do we have sitting on there other than the commissioners? Like who else? Is it
I've
people
served
from,
on it before, Kelly McCormick served on it before, but I don't know, once our appointment's left, who served on it after that.
Tammy
Right.
was on it
Tammy.
most recently.
but do we have people from each squad?
Yes, they solicit, they go out and ask for at least 1 or 2 representatives per squad. Who's on there currently?
Cause I don't know that we have any from R7 and R8, that's why.
I
I'm
don't
asking.
think we have anybody from,
It was, I would say it was just, we had you and Kelly and myself, and then we had others that came and sat,
Scott
just like
came in
with
a
the
few
training committee.
times.
Well, and that's been a
We-
hot minute
we
ago
took,
too.
You know, inputs from everywhere.
Yeah.
But like I said, the main core of it is done.
So do I hear any nominations for?
But they haven't
someone?
met since the middle of the summer, really.
Yeah.
Or maybe the end of the summer.
Brady, would you be willing to do that? Because I know you put a lot of work into that.
I would.
I would nominate Commissioner Land for the SOG committee.
second.
Okay, do we have a vote on that? All in favor, aye?
Would you be willing to do that too? I'd also like to nominate Commissioner Jackman.
Okay, so you're nominating myself and Mr. Jackman to serve on it. I'll second that. Well, I can't. You good with seconding that, Christie? Okay. All in favor, aye? All right. Item D, training committee. Same thing as we just discussed on that one. I know Tammy was on the last one, but I don't know who currently serves on that.
Tammy and Phyllis.
Tammy and Phyllis was on that.
Yeah, and I think we had some people from the squads, right?
We had some squad members, we had some firefighters who were doing medical stuff, and that was pretty much it. The only thing we need to do with that is update it to change the curriculum from, upstate medical to say we're using, American Safety and Health, for the most part.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Jackman.
I'll second
Second.
that if he's good with it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Do I hear another nomination for the training committee? We typically like to have 2 from the commission.
Christie, would you be interested?
Yes, I would.
Is that a
That's
nomination?
that's a motion.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Before we move on, past the committees, would it be helpful for us to set some kind of like schedule for these committees to meet? Because it seems like over the last year, the committees kind of met sporadically and there wasn't a ton of consistent information that came from them. I mean, some of them more than others, right? But I don't know, would it be helpful to do something like that? Where they met like maybe every other month, or,
So generally, we've let them just pick their own schedule. I personally haven't heard any issues from that. If that's come from that, you can make a motion for that, and we can set dates for them to follow. But we all know how scheduling goes with our schedule and what we're doing.
Right. I mean, I think it would be helpful if the commissioners that are serving on each committee maybe set something that's quarterly, or, I mean, even if it's not monthly, quarterly, like where we can have some kind of very consistent update, and they can set it any time in the quarter, right? Like, I'd like to make a motion to do so.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Okay, let's take a vote on it. If you're in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. One more topic of discussion, because we are in committee reports. Do we want to add an item E? In the past, we've had a budget and finance committee, where they would also meet with crime before the budget and after the budget. We're kind of already getting down to a bunch of people serving on some things, so it's totally up to y'all if y'all want to have that committee.
Couldn't you tie that into the incentive committee?
That's my thought as well.
Because the incentive, I mean, it's directly tied to the budget and because it's gonna be at the end of the fiscal year, and so I think you could get that same information out of that committee. And you can just rename line item B to, I don't know, financial/incentive committee or something.
The incentive committee usually meets at the beginning of the year, so that everyone knows what they have to do to qualify for incentives. So,
But now they're meeting quarterly.
Well,
It's up to y'all.
I would motion to make it a budget and incentive committee.
Okay. So I have a
would
motion to
say-
change the incentive committee to be a budget and finance incentive committee.
well, let's talk about that a little bit more. So the incentive committee, like, and that wasn't when I made that motion for all of them to meet quarterly. The incentive committee, I guess, is kind of special in the fact that it does meet at the end of the fiscal year and beginning of the fiscal year or whatever. So maybe it meets biannually instead. I don't know. What would be a good recommendation for that? Maybe that committee specifically meeting differently.
I don't disagree with that meeting differently, but if you add the budget and finance, they would still meet quarterly, and you would do those meetings, in December timeframe, and then in the January, February timeframe, which would be budget, and then the other two meetings would be basically budget and the incentive committee meetings are generally relatively short, because all the numbers are done by staff off of the computer. And so that committee could be, again, still four, like all the rest, but have two purposes because their things come up different times. Because budget and finance, we're doing that now in budgeting, right now for the county, is now. And incentive is in the middle of the summer when we just got our new budget. We're actually working our new budget.
So what you're saying is the incentive committee would be meeting twice, and then the budget meeting would be twice, and so then still end up being
Four.
quarterly, yeah.
Quarterly.
So,
You add them together.
so we can just do that,
I'm good with that.
combine it, and it's essentially 2 meetings per.
So you still gonna keep that motion?
Yeah, I mean, it might not be evenly spread out, but, every 3 months, but
And Christie,
it'd
you
still
give
be
a second
4
on
times
that?
per year.
Okay, so a motion and a second, any discussion further?
Can you just repeat the motion for me, please?
Good. So Amber's gonna make the motion to combine the incentive committee to a budget and finance incentive committee. And they're still gonna be held to that quarterly standard that we all voted on. They'll meet, the 4 times. Amber said that, who was gonna serve on it?
So the incentive, we're not gonna change who's serving as far as I know.
Right.
So right now, it's currently Scott and myself on the incentive committee. And it would just be combined, like we said, budget / incentive, or finance / incentive, however we wanna name it, doesn't matter to me. But we'll meet at least 4 times within the year, maybe not at an even every 3 months, but,
Yeah, base it around the meetings around the budget cycle, there's no
right.
point in not.
Yep, so 2 meetings for the budget, 2 meetings for the incentive, essentially, is what it'd shake out to be.
An Amber motion, Christie second. We good to vote? Any more discussion? All in favor, aye. Any more discussion on committee reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 8, Director, or correction, Deputy Chief Carroll, your report.
Hey, well, good evening, everybody. In front of you have the response report. Cover the whole year of 2025. Rescue 1, 2,388 calls for the year. They had a 97% success rate in meeting those calls. Rescue 2, 542 for the year, at a 99.8% success rate. Oakway had 1,467, they met just under 60% of their calls. Walhalla, 1,447, meeting about 55%, just under 56% of the calls. Westminster, 1,348, for the year, 5,700, or 57% of the calls. Mountain Rest, and again, Mountain Rest was having some problems at the beginning of the year with membership. Some folks stepped up, and in the last part of the year, pretty much are running in the high 80s every month. So the total, they had 231. If you're looking at just first part of the year, their response rate was bad, but at the end of the year, the new membership, it picked up. Kiwi Rescue, 408 calls, just under 80% of the calls, success rate. Dive Team had 39 with a 95% success rate. Special Rescue had 41 calls with a 98% success rate on response. Anybody have any questions? Next item, vehicle updates. I got off the phone earlier with Chief Neighbors at Salem. He's getting me a compiled list of things that need to be corrected with their new vehicle. Some of it's gonna be taken back to the dealership again for some warranty trouble lights. And then once all that's taken care of, Salem's found a vendor who can put a top on it, a secure top. So that'll be going out to get that done. The Oakway, new pickup truck, after all the scheduling with Diamond T goes, I'm trying to get it down tomorrow, and they're gonna start working on it next week. It's still waiting in line with all the sheriff's office vehicles to get the lighting installed.
Question about that, motor pool. I know there's been some issues with motor pool. Is that something that's gonna be corrected in the near future? Are they gonna get some more staff or different staff or?
That's a never-ending battle, considering how much their pay is, because they can literally learn, get trained, and get some certifications.
And go somewhere
And
where
then
they
go
make
somewhere that they make, because of the way the dealers do their money, and the fact that, they could be, we're repairing 2 cars at the same time, waiting on parts and doing that, but they're getting paid double technically, if you know how a mechanic shop works.
Right.
And so we lose our good
Our good
mechanics, a lot of times, to other places. They have some new ones, they have a new management, again, and he's doing a good job, but it goes back to, by the time we get them trained,
Keeping good help.
it's keeping, it's a problem that we have across the fleet, for keeping the dozers going at the landfill to keeping emergency services vehicles going. And we have looked at options to step outside of that. It's just not budgetary, the cost. We run over on our maintenance budget for our vehicles almost every year.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask, things like the electronics with, red light sirens and radios and that stuff, if it was cost effective to go outside with it.
I can tell you that, I don't know, somebody wants to come up and talk, but, Kiwi was spec'ing a vehicle based on a Explorer with a state contract, all that, I wanna say it was around 75,000,
69,
For an interceptor.
just under 70, I'm sorry.
just under 70.
Just under 70,000 for a vehicle to be delivered with everything.
Like a turnkey vehicle.
Turnkey vehicle.
Turnkey.
Which is about 20,000 more than the regular vehicle under contract,
Yeah,
just to
what's
upfit.
currently doing.
So what would it cost if that vehicle come in stripped and our motor pool did it?
About $10,000 less.
Okay.
It varies, but yeah,
And it's dependent upon the chassis that we're buying.
right.
I mean, the sheriff's department, I guess, had some issues with Explorers and Tahoes, and they went to Durangos this year on their purchase. Anybody have any questions on that? So hopefully, waiting on just the regular, once the contract has already been set for the topper and the push bar and everything for the Oakway truck, it's just waiting to come in to go to Greenwood, who gave us the best price for their truck toys. It's not truck toys, it's,
Lenny.
yeah, they changed their name to Carolina X something. They're no longer with that company. They got their own branch now. See, incentive. So we did have a total of 205. That's by far the most that made full incentive this year. Training, hours, and pretty much all the hours, all the training, all the requirements was met, plus the physical, 205. And we run right at anywhere about 298 to just under, it depends on rosters. I might as well say under 350 for volunteers that are active, that are not administrative or anything like that, so that's a pretty good total. I mean, you had probably over 50% of your people in your books make incentive. So, that's still the highest number since I've been doing it in the 5 years I've been tracking it.
It's a lot of people.
Yep. And that doesn't count, cause you got the people who make incentive, and then you have the chiefs who are given admin points. They don't make incentive, but the chief can give admin points on top of that, so that's on top of the call numbers, or that numbers is added in there too, so if they get 1 point, that's equal to 1 run that a person who makes it active, so.
And that's for the chiefs to give their people that just do admin, volunteer to do admin, to give them some points to receive an incentive check.
Right, and then the chiefs receive 20 points for being chiefs. So, that's how the whole point system goes. Anybody have any questions? Mr. Chairman, it's not on my list, but I do training, we got bumped off. We do have some training classes come up. We do see EMT, CEP went out. I don't know if everybody, we'll get that out to everybody, all the chiefs. They did change up this next one. It was supposed to be in this past week. They moved, since Prisma was tied up moving everybody. The January was moved to February 2nd. And that was put out on the stuff, so that's the skills day that EMTs need. EMRs are more than happy to come. EMTs definitely need it. All right?
It's required for EMTs.
Yes.
What's the date for that?
February 2nd, 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, and 1800 to 2000. Yep. Whatever the second is.
Do you guys have an inclement weather plan?
That was it.
Oh, okay.
So
Cause we're supposed to be getting more stuff on Saturday
that's what we're
apparently.
looking at. So it depends on our instructor for that. We get from Prisma, and if she gets pulled back to do something else, we may have to change it again.
Okay.
So,
You said, 0900 to 11,
yep,
That's
100 and then
That's this
1800.
coming Monday.
this coming Monday,
Yeah, 1800 to what?
18 to 2000,
2000.
or till they get done.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the rest of them are up there in the schedule. Everybody should have got Lieutenant Honeycutt's training schedule coming up. What we got going on, most of the classes are fire-based, there are some driver-operator classes, officer classes, safety officer, ICS 300 and 400 class is being taught here. And that's it's still in the new, proposed new upgrade to the SOG. Chief's supposed to have 300, 400. And that's about it. We got some EMR classes we just finished up, an EMR refresher, finished up last week at headquarters. Looking at doing an evening EMT class. I gotta work that out with, State Fire. But that's it right now.
For Honeycutt's list, has he published that anywhere?
He sends it out to everybody on his list, usually the chiefs and all get it, and whoever else.
So our chiefs should have received that? Okay, I'll
I got
follow,
it 2 weeks ago.
I'll follow up on that. I haven't seen anything on it.
I think I sent it back out too, didn't I?
You did. Any more discussion or comments for Deputy Chief Carroll? Is that all you got?
That's it,
All right.
unless there's any questions.
Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 9, Director Crime.
I don't have anything specific. I have one thing to share. I have been blessed to serve for the county for 18 years and 28 years in public safety in South Carolina, and I have chosen to retire. My last day will be February 19th. So I just want to say thank you for each of you over the years as I've gotten to know you and some of you that I just met. Thank you for what you do. It has been a whirlwind and a wonderful opportunity seeing the organizations grow. But it is time, to move on and seek other opportunities that I have. And so thank you for all that you do and have done for me. And that is all I have.
Any comments, discussions? Folks to the county. Hearing nothing else, we will move on to Rescue Squad updates. Region 1, Commissioner Shear.
I'd like to thank everybody who responded during the storm. People left the safety of their house to go out in cold, awful weather to provide emergency care and also to help out with special needs. I know we transported quite a few people to special needs shelters, and they were very appreciative and definitely in need of the special needs shelters, so that was very appreciated. Rescue 1 has radiation training scheduled this month, the month of February coming up, and I appreciate the staff's assistance with that. I have plans to attend the Rescue 3 meeting to spend some time with them February 17th. I have a request. I'm wondering, did we put together an after-action review for Hurricane Helene? That's something that the county staff did, or is there an after-action review?
There was an after-action review done by council, and then there was, we can try to find.
Yeah, if you could point me in a direction or send it my way, I'd appreciate it. That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to Region 2, Mr. Jackman.
2, we're doing good. The rehab trailers almost, we're probably 95% complete with that. That ought to be on the road here shortly. The new rescue squad, we just talked about that. It's going back in. We've only got one really new member and he just started EMT school in Greenville with Prisma. So he's kind of anxious to get his foot, on the ground and go with it. So that's a good thing. We just completed the radiation training with Smitty. And other than that, that's pretty much it for 2. David and I, there's a bunch of people in the county got certified to teach the VFIS class. And I know we've talked about that at 2, but maybe hosting a class there for some of our members that need it, plus anybody else that wants in. So that might be coming. 6, Truman says that, he's got 4 or 5 that's really active right now up there, cause I know they've been struggling. He wanted to thank everybody too for the same thing, for the storm, and the same way for Station 2. You know, it was pretty rough up there. Joe Cassie Way with the ice, and Salem was nice, rented us a front end loader, so it made it easy with the trees. But same thing with 6, they said to thank everybody and all the paid crew that helped with that. Other than that, he had said he was on the incentive committee, and he had some concerns about that, but I think that's something that'll be brought up maybe with the rescue chiefs. Other than that, 2 and 6, we're good.
Okay, thank you. Region 3, Commissioner Zahn.
Rescue 4, we're keeping busy. We could use another vehicle. Training is up to date with everybody. We're getting maybe one new member a month, it seems. While I'm talking about vehicles, Rescue 6 had a vehicle that they weren't using anymore. We were thinking of buying it from them. But then we were told that if we bought a vehicle, that we'd have to turn the ownership over to the county for 3 years, in which time they could place the vehicle anywhere they wanted.
Steve,
And-
let me just, that is, the policy is it's purchased by taxpayer money, and so it generally, the used vehicles go, I don't think that policy was written for going from squad to squad. It was written, what was done was if you purchased a used vehicle, i.e. we purchased using the county's ability to purchase through state contract. That vehicle was purchased through state contract and had to stay legally for the purchase of state contract ownership of the county for 3 years. When it gets signed over, it falls off of that after the 3 years. So because of the program and the cheapness that we get the vehicle, that's why the county has to own it. We're the person that can purchase it.
Right.
So that's where that 3 years came in. So if you purchase it from them, and it's out of that 3 years and not part of that, you're purchasing it and it doesn't have to come back to the county. But there are vehicles that are that way, so that's what has to be checked to make sure. On the other thing, you have to insure it yourself. The county doesn't have to insure it if it's yours.
Of course.
But that's why there's the 3 years pending what vehicle it was. And just because they sell it, they can't sell one of our vehicles.
Of course.
You know, that's where the 3 years comes in to one of the vehicles.
Do we-
And we have bought for a lot of the squads a surplus vehicle, which, you know, we did that for dive team.
Right.
And we had to keep it for, you know, we've done it for 6, we've done it for, multiple departments.
If I could, Steve, it's not Rescue 6, it's fire, I
Oh,
think the fire department bought it.
Station 4.
okay, sorry.
Okay, but, and then to clarify, if they were to buy through GSA, it would have to, if we bought like a surplus government vehicle, that's how you get it through us as an organization to get it, that's how it stays 3 years.
Right.
So if they buy a used vehicle from another fire department, which is clearing out,
It's theirs.
it's theirs.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that explanation, very helpful.
Anyway, Rescue 5, we're gaining new members, increasing calls, doing a lot of training. And we appreciate all the help we can get. That's it.
Okay, if no discussion, I'll move on to Region 4.
Okay, Rescue 22, as stated, we have an Interceptor on order to replace our one vehicle, which is a 2005 Ford Explorer. So the timeline for that will just depend on, they need to have, enough orders for Interceptors for them to produce a lot of those. So we'll let you know as that progresses. For Christmas, for our fundraiser, we purchased Christmas gifts for 25 children at Kiwi Elementary who otherwise would have gone without. And then another project we're looking at this year is trying to build a website to keep our information centralized. So I'm kind of gathering requirements and a committee for that. And that's it.
Great. No discussion, we'll move on to Region 5.
All right, so for Region 5, we've got Rescue 7, the dive team. It's been a little bit since we met. Our last meeting was in November 18th. We had 2 new proposed members during that meeting, in which we will vote on in our February meeting, because our meeting this week was canceled due to inclement weather. We held elections back in November. Our assistant chief spot is still open. That will also be voted on in our February meeting. We started our inventory and regulator services. We were supposed to hold an additional day this weekend, but we canceled it for weather. With that being said, if any of these squads have any regulators or tanks that need to be serviced, we'll put out another date for you guys to bring those by and have them serviced. If they belong to the county, if they belong to you, then I think we still do them for some charge, but anyway. We also have the swim test coming up. We have dates for February 21st, 22nd, 28th, and then March 1st, all at the Seneca YMCA. There's an email sent out for sign up. If you or your squad needs that email with the sign up link, I can forward that to you guys. Also for Rescue 8, same, we had 2 new proposed members. We also had our SC Heart training that was held in November, which is a lot later in the year than it normally is, but it went well. And then we held elections as well, but all of those positions stayed the same and they're all filled. And that's all I have.
Can you read the dates for the swim test one more time, please?
Yep, swim test is gonna be February 21st, 22nd, and 28th, and then March 1st. And I believe it's from 12:30 to 4:30, somewhere right in there. It's about for a 4-hour block of time.
Why in Seneca Foothills?
Seneca YMCA, yeah.
All right, if no more discussion, we'll move on to the at-large, which is myself for the rescue chiefs. All I have is that we did meet. We are working on a set of bylaws, just like the Fire Chiefs Association did. It'll be for the Rescue Chiefs Association. We should have that either voted on or enacted at our next meeting. And that will also work on our vacancy for this commission as well, once that gets approved. That's all I have for the Rescue Chiefs Association. Hearing no discussion, we'll move into item number 11, executive session. I did not see anything put on the agenda 24 hours before notice. Do we have an emergent need that we need to go into executive session? Hearing none and seeing none, we'll move on to item number 12. Just before we get in there, thank everybody for being on this commission. Some people think that it doesn't do a lot. I'm hoping that we can change that. Your voice does matter. Our volunteers' voices matter. It doesn't matter if you started yesterday or you've been in this county for 20 years. You need to make sure that your voice is heard. And nobody is perfect. Your idea could will change a lot of things in this county. So thank you all for taking time to serve on this. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by Steve, second by Amber.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned at 18:54.